Hello, I'm Kerwin. Welcome to Father Son Galaxy, a Star Wars podcast. Thank you for joining us today. My guest is Raphel Moran, a writer, artist, producer, and father of 3 children. He is the host of the Geeky Dad podcast, where he and his children discuss the latest in geek culture. You can find the Geeky Dad podcast on your streaming platforms. We'll discuss his upbringing, his interests, and life lessons he's passing on to his children. Raphael, welcome to Father Son Galaxy.
Thank you for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be on here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I've been looking forward to this as well. So as you know, people will know who watched our previous podcast, Keith is not here. So it's just a father to father talk.
Yes. Yeah. Geeky Dads talking together.
Yes. So thank you. I'm looking forward to this. When I was looking through your Twitter account, you describe yourself as a full-blown geek. Can you explain what that means, a full-blown geek?
Well, you know how some people in geek culture, they kind of segregate themselves to like, oh, I'm a Trekker or Trekkie. I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm a, Lord of the Rings fan, or, I'm a Marvel guy or a DC guy, all that stuff, I like everything. Okay. Yeah. I don't discriminate, I like all genres. I like all the franchises. I like everything.
And when did the love for the geek culture start? When did that start for you?
Well, I guess you could say high school, junior high. I wasn't really, what's the word? Popular, I always segregated to myself and people like myself, the little geek clan, always, in the little corner of the gym while everybody else was like, playing basketball or baseball and whatnot. But in the corner, me and my friends, what we used to do was talk comic books, trade, in the 90s, we used to have the Marvel trading cards, that was really popular back then, and we used to like trade cards and talk about the latest animated TV show, episode. That's what we talked about. We didn't talk about sports and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did.
Right.
Yeah.
And where did you grow
up? Brooklyn. Yeah.
Okay. Were you born and raised in Brooklyn, or were you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a similarity there. I wasn't born in Brooklyn. I was actually born in Barbados. My family immigrated from Barbados back in 1969. So I came to the States when I was almost a year old. So Brooklyn is really pretty much all I know. I know we lived in Florida for a short period of time, but I was very young. I don't remember living in Florida, but Brooklyn, I do remember it. I lived in Brooklyn from the time I was 1 year old until I moved away to college when I was 20 years old. So it's so it's a big span. I went to New Utrecht High School. I understand that you went to South Shore. Yes,
I went to South Shore and I went to Huddy Junior High.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my family is from Guyana. Okay, and my wife is actually from Bangladesh.
I see. Okay.
So our kids are like a clash of different cultures.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And when you were growing up in Brooklyn, we're talking about the geek culture. How were you accepted? It sounds like you might have had a circle of friends who you can talk to in regards to books and films. Did you feel that when you were going through high school that you found a place where you could fit in
Well, not really. I think now it's a lot more easier
Yeah.
because geek culture is more accepted. It's more mainstream than it was before.
Mhm.
Everything is like either Marvel or Star Wars. It's popular now, but back then it wasn't really.
Mhm.
You'd
Right.
get like maybe one Batman movie every couple of years, and that's it. Or you get like reruns of Star Wars on TV. That's it. Nothing else.
Mhm.
We're starving for content, and that's why we latched on to each other.
Mhm.
You know, now it's like too much content right now.
Yes. Right. Yeah. I feel the same way when I was growing up in Brooklyn. I said I went to New York High School. New York High School is a jock school. So to me, it was about sports,
Yeah.
always about sports. They had a great football team. And like you, I didn't follow sports as much.
Mm.
My dad is a big baseball fan. He loves cricket. So, where he comes from.
Yeah.
Cricket,
My parents too. Yeah.
yes. So baseball is the American equivalent.
Right.
So as far as sports, he would take me to see Mets games. He was a big Mets fan, so I've done that. But as far as anything else like football, that was so foreign to me. And it was, I found it very difficult for me to fit in because I was not into sports. And I really couldn't find anybody outside of, two friends of mine who were Star Wars fans, who knew what Star Wars was or even went to the movies. Movies is pretty much all I did when I was old enough to take myself to the movies when I was 13 years old.
Right.
I tell this story of me and my two buddies who went to see Return of the Jedi. And, I talk about that day like it just happened yesterday. And that's what I did throughout my high school years and college. I just find myself um, uh, resorting to, escapism through
Yeah.
films and to television. And I could not find anyone else who had that same interest as I did back then.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a lot easier for kids today.
Yeah.
Now, did you used to go to the comic book shop? Because that was like my holy grail
Sure.
area.
Yeah.
That was, I used to spend hours in there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which one did you used to go to?
Yeah. I used to go to Forbidden Planet. Now, if I
yeah,
tell you where it is, well, I can tell you where it was back then. So I had a friend of mine, a buddy of mine, we're still friends to this day, who went to Art and Design High School in Manhattan.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I went to SVA.
Okay, School of Visual. Yeah, all
Yeah.
right. I'm familiar with that, School of Visual Arts. So
Yeah.
he attended Art and Design High School. I wanted to go to Art and Design High School, and I applied, and I didn't get in, unfortunately. So I resorted to going to New Utrecht High School. But what I would do is whenever I could, even if it meant cutting class, unfortunately, I would leave high school early. Yeah, and if you know where New Utrecht High School is, it's in Bensonhurst. And that's just way down in Brooklyn, and
Yes.
this long train ride from Brooklyn into Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan. And then I would meet up with my buddy, and then we would go to Forbidden Planet, and then we go in and we pick up all kinds of comic books. I was into Moon Knight back then, in the 80s, Spider-Man, Star-Lord magazine was a very popular magazine to pick up that talked about the sci-fi fantasy films that are up and coming. So yeah, I definitely spent a lot of time in the comic book stores.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've been to Forbidden Planet a couple of times, but I've been to Midtown Comics a lot though.
Yes. Yeah. And Midtown I know is still there because I was there a year ago. Midtown Comics. Well, they have 2 locations now, right?
I think they have 3 now.
Oh, they have 3. Okay. Yeah. So I to this day, well, I'll tell you, it's for me, it was an evolution, and we'll get to that. But there was a period of time when I stopped reading, where I stopped buying comic books. A long.
Basically, yeah. I mean, around the time that I got married, I think when I stopped. I just didn't have the time, and then the kids came, and now actually I buy the comics for them.
Okay.
So I usually buy them the trade paperbacks of like collected stuff, so they can read it. Yeah.
And when you were with your group of your friends who were into the geek culture, the Star Wars and Marvel, DC superheroes, besides the comic book stores, did you go to conventions back then, back in high school, maybe?
No, we did go to the movies a lot, Yeah. I don't know if you've gone to the one in Sheepshead Bay. That's a pretty nice one. It's right on the water.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, we just went to the beach after watching the movie, have some fun, That was our weekends.
Gotcha. And what were your favorite films growing up that you loved?
Well, I got back into Star Wars when they did the re-releases, and I was totally excited when they did the prequels as well, So yeah, I was always a Star Wars fan. I started actually the first Star Wars movie I ever saw was on CBS, and it was Return of the Jedi. So I saw Return of the Jedi first before I even saw the other movies.
Yes.
And surprisingly, I understood what the movie plot was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. You saw which one did you see first?
I saw The Empire Strikes Back first.
Okay.
I saw it in 1980. And then a year later, they re-released A New Hope. And so I saw the first film. Mm-hmm. And in 83, I saw Return of the Jedi. So by that time, I understood, even though I saw the first two films out of order, I understood what was happening. I knew what to look forward to for Return of the Jedi. So I was ready.
Yeah. I even I love those old 80s Star Wars cartoons, the Ewoks show and the droids show, and that's what I used to live on, right?
Good, very good.
Yeah.
And now when you are, you're now in your 20s and 30s, are you still into this geek culture? Did it ever go away? I know you said at some point you did stop reading comic books.
I stopped reading comics because at that point I was actually making comics. Around the time that I got married, I had released like 2 graphic novels, 1 miniseries, and a couple of one-shots that I did with various different publishers, all indie comics. But it was that was my dream to always be a comic book creator, and I actually got my book in Midtown Comics one day, and I took a picture of it, and it was like incredible. One of the best feelings in the world,
Very nice. Yeah. And you knew back then that you wanted to get into the comic book industry and
right. Yeah. What when the kids came, I took a back seat because being a writer, especially an indie comic writer, you gotta do a lot of traveling. You gotta go on the road. You gotta do signings all over, United States. And I, when the kid was born, I decided, I'm gonna take a break from that. I need to, focus mostly on the kids, and because that's the most important time.
Sure.
They are small, and I did a lot of writing for comic book websites. I did a lot of reviews, movie reviews, comic book reviews, and that's what I was doing in between. Now that I'm doing a podcast, But I have been working on a couple of books in the meantime, and I'm hoping to get them, released either in a couple of years or so. I'm working one with my daughter actually, so that's going to be exciting.
Very nice. Okay, and tell me about why you wanted to create a podcast, and why did you want to involve your children as a part of the podcast?
Yeah. Originally when I started the podcast, it was just going to be myself, just talking about being a dad, my experiences as a writer in the industry and stuff like that. And, I'll have my kids on maybe a little bit. And then, what happened was they took over my show. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it your goal that you want to pass on your love of the geek culture to your children, or are you just looking at it, or are you having your children just sit down, watch a few things, and just get their own perspective of what they're seeing? Is it? Yeah.
That is probably what the main focus of the show is about, because I usually introduce them to new movies or TV shows or concepts every week, and they give me my opinions, but they are geeks. Geeks, full-blooded geeks. They love Star Wars. They have an encyclopedic knowledge of Star Wars. I didn't have that knowledge at that age.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have like the internet to look up all the species and whatnot. They can tell you what alien that is and what planet that alien came from. I didn't have that luxury.
Right.
And I just called the guy, the pig alien guy. That's all I knew. But yeah, they know everything. Yeah. Especially Marvel. They're really big into Marvel and all the superheroes and stuff like that.
Right.
Read constantly. My daughter loves to read. And in fact, she gets in trouble in school because she's reading while pretending to do work. Okay. That's dedication right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds a lot like Keith. I believe your daughter is 10 or just turned 10.
She just turned 10. Yeah.
And she is your oldest?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. My story with Keith, how I introduced him to Star Wars was with the sequel trilogy.
It's exact same thing with me. A is what she gravitated towards.
Yeah.
It was another girl.
Yes.
She likes anything with an empowering female character on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It was, to me, Star Wars is throughout my life. Like you said, there wasn't a lot of content as far as Star Wars. You just had the first, you had the first 3 films. Then you had a long break, and then you had the prequel trilogy come out, and then there was another long break. And then that's when I, started my family, and then the sequel trilogy, Disney announced that they were by Lucasfilm, and then the sequel trilogy was right around the corner, and I was in a bookstore and I bought, I was looking in the bookstore and I saw that they have the little golden books of the first 6 Star Wars films. So I took it home, and that's how Keith was introduced to reading Star Wars. He didn't watch the movies first. He read the books, and then he just became so interested in reading the books that he was ready to see the films, and that's how he was introduced.
When I was a kid, I gobbled up all of the extended universe stuff, Heir to the Empire, all the Dark Horse, comics that used to come out, none of that stuff is canon anymore, but, that's the only thing I could, latch on to back then, I got one of these thick, it's like the size of a Bible. It's called 5-minute Star Wars stories.
Yes. We have yes.
Yeah. So every night my daughter used to read one of these stories, and it basically, recaps the entire saga in one book. So she's not, she knows everything already, even though we haven't seen all of the movies yet. We're actually going in order right now. She saw the Rey movies, but she did not see the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. We're going back and watching the prequels first, and then we're gonna, watch all of Clone Wars, and right now she saw Revenge of the Sith, and we're watching Bad Batch and Rebels right now.
Yes.
Also Obi-Wan.
Yes.
So and she saw Rogue One already too. So she's ready to see episode 4, 5, and 6. So we're gonna probably wait until Obi-Wan is done, and then we're gonna watch it. Let's see how that segues into that movie.
And it's interesting. Are all 3 of your children into the
yes? My son.
Marvel? Yeah.
My son is a huge Anakin fan. He didn't know Anakin was Darth Vader. And when he did, he still likes Anakin, but he likes Luke now. Big Luke fan, and he's a big Ezra fan. He loves, the baby, doesn't really understand anything right now. The baby actually likes He-Man a lot. He's yelling, "I have the power" all over the house. All over. Very loud. Very loud.
That's great. Yeah. It's wonderful that our children now have Star Wars in their life, because there's so much of it, different than the way we had it when we were growing up. I mean, like
and they keep making stuff. It's like it's hard to keep up now.
And Keith he's picking up on he's got so much to remember and so many characters to analyze and to discuss, and he's able to retain that information so well, and he's seen more of the Clone Wars episodes than I have. So yeah, we're the same way. So he's been, so we've seen the films. We've seen Rebels. He has gone back and he's watched pretty much all the episodes of the Clone Wars, all 7 seasons. And he's also watched Star Wars Resistance, which I have not. And we're also following the Bad Batch as well. We can't wait for season 2 to come out. Yep. And how important is it for you to bond with your children in regards to something like Star Wars or Marvel?
It's very important, because it's a way to engage with them and connect with them in a personal way, because we can both enjoy something together, something we both can love together, and hopefully it's something they will always enjoy with me together, because it seems like it's not going to go away. I think they'll keep making Star Wars stuff after we're both long gone, I think. So hopefully they can continue that love with their children and so forth, and they can say, Papa got me into that.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I really did. It wasn't my intention that Keith would be a Star Wars fan. It wasn't something that was required. You have families who have they pass down the love of their favorite sports team, and they're very passionate about making sure that you love this team through generations. I didn't really have that for Keith. It was just, well, let's give him the books. Let's see if he likes them, and if he does, great. If he doesn't, it's okay. We'll find something else to bond with. But now knowing that he loves it just as much as I do, it does make me feel like a kid again.
Who's his favorite character?
Ahsoka.
Okay. My daughter loves Ahsoka too. Yeah.
He bought the novel, the E.K. Johnston novel. Well, we didn't buy it out at first. We took it out from the library. That book must have been in circulation for about a year, because every time we would return it, a week later, it just comes right back. We just kept reading it over and over and over. He also read the audio book of the audio book of Ahsoka. So he loves Ahsoka Tano. We were even fortunate enough to even, for one, Ashley Eckstein,
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we were interviewing Mark Daniel of Disney, and Mark and Ashley know each other, and Mark surprised us with having Ashley appear. Just do a phone recording, and he played it for us, and we were just floored. And
Yeah,
so
that
we
must
went.
have been awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing, and we actually ran into her twice. We went to the Philadelphia Expo, which was in April, and we saw her there. And we also saw her at Star Wars Celebration, which we just came back from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. I met Rosario, but years before she played Ahsoka. So I guess,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Where was that? Where did you meet her?
At a movie premiere.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the Hellboy movie premiere.
Got it.
Her. Yeah, she's very short in person.
Is she?
Yeah, I thought she was short, but I'm pretty tall, so maybe that's why.
Oh, okay, because she looks to be tall.
Yeah.
I've never seen her in person, but I can imagine, just
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of her. I'm very excited, and she's such a great role model. I mean, she's done Marvel, she's done Star Wars, so she's like one of us. She's a part
Yes.
of the
Yes. She actually is a geek.
Yes.
I know that for a fact. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw how geeked out she was when she saw Mark Hamill, and it was like,
Yeah.
that's just like one of us. We would do the same thing. Yeah.
Now, is there a genre that you like more than one that you like more than the other? Like, if you were to given a choice of Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek, what do you find yourself drawn to the most?
Not really. I gobble up everything.
Okay.
I gobble up everything. Yeah. Yeah. Star Trek has been sort of like, I haven't gotten into it as much because I didn't get the Paramount Plus, but I just got it. So I'm going to devour as much as I can until my, subscription ends. Yeah.
Now, as far as Star Trek, are you referring to the recent series, or
I loved all Star Trek.
All Star Trek, okay.
Back from the original 60s show.
Got it. Okay.
I used to watch that every day. It used to come on in the afternoons on Channel 11, I think. And I used to watch the original show. I watched The Next Generation. I watched all of the other shows as well. Yeah. So I started watching Discovery. The thing that I'm a little bit disappointed with Star Trek a little bit now is I think they're leaning more towards an adult viewership. Before, Star Trek was something the whole family could watch, and I'm a little disappointed because Discovery is a little bit it tends to lean towards R sometimes, adult, and it's the first time we have like a woman of color.
Yes.
Role, and I thought maybe it would be something my daughter would love to see. I gotta wait until she's a little older to watch that. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen Discovery.
No, well, Discovery. I tried to watch the first season. I had a hard time getting through the entire season.
Yeah.
I think I may have stopped at maybe the 11th or the 12th episode, and then I realized, well, this is more than 12 episodes. So I didn't get a chance to finish the season, but I did start watching, as a matter of fact, the new series, Strange New Worlds.
Oh, yes, that looks good.
Yeah, and Keith and I saw and Keith knows nothing about Star Trek. And so we're, he's seen it for the very first time. I'm also seeing it based on the knowledge that I have of Star Trek, which is not much.
Right.
But you're right. The characters, if you're someone who watched the original Star Trek, the character of Spock may not be the same character played by Leonard Nimoy back in the day. Spock's a little more complicated.
Right.
He has relationships and those kind of things. And I thought, like you said, I thought they were a little more adult oriented themes, but it wasn't too bad. We got through it. Keith enjoyed it, so we're probably going to go back and look at I think there are 5 episodes already, so we'll go back and watch.
Have you tried maybe showing him the reboot, J.J. Abrams?
Yes, I would like him to see at least the first one. Yeah,
Right.
I think he would enjoy that one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's the closest the Star Wars that the Star Trek has ever been, those movies. And same director, right?
J.J. Abrams, right, exactly. Yeah. J.J. Abrams, yeah. And going back to Star Wars, do you have a favorite story that you personally enjoy? And
originally I liked the original trilogy, but right now I think Mandalorian is pretty good. Mandalorian, but for me, the best in terms of story, I really love that last season of Clone Wars. The last couple of episodes were so quick, so intense, so grand. That was pretty good. And also, I really loved the Rebels. Rebels was really, I thought, had a great story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and fantastic characters. I actually like it better than the J.J. Abrams movies.
Yeah, I'm with you on Rebels. We love Rebels. Just like the adopted family, how they all came together from different parts of the galaxy, and they had the Empire in common, like their lives were uprooted by the Empire, and here they are, this small ragtag team beat this huge so great story.
And I love Chopper. Chopper's great.
What about your children? Do they have any favorite Star Wars stories or anything that they like to talk about?
My daughter loves Ahsoka, so she loves Clone Wars, and right now we're watching the Bad Batch, and she loves Omega right now. And she really likes Sabine from Rebels, so again, all the female characters she likes. Basically. Okay.
And your podcast, when did you start the podcast?
Well, we started this late last year, actually. And at first I thought, starting a podcast would be kind of complicated. You need to get all these fancy equipment. But when I went through Anchor, it was like free, and all I needed was a phone or a computer. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can do this, So that's how it started.
And what gave you the idea to start a podcast? Why did you want to start a podcast?
Well, I've been a guest on a lot of different podcasts before, and I thought that I had a unique perspective. I don't think there's too many geeks of my hue or background out there with podcasts, and I don't think many do the podcast with their kids, and I usually a lot of podcasts don't get the perspective of the kids as much, and I tried to get their perspective and my perspective and kind of do some kind of merging by the end of it,
Yes.
Yeah. I see you do that too. You do that with your son.
Absolutely. Yeah. For the same reason. I mean, it's, I felt that we have, quite a few things in common. That's exactly what happened. We started in 2021. And I love listening to podcasts. In the back of my mind, I said maybe one, I would, if I were a podcaster, I think that'd be a great gig to have, but I didn't really take the steps to make it happen. I mean, that came from my wife. That's Tanya's, dream or idea of us putting a podcast together, because Keith and I love to talk about Star Wars. and we were watching The Mandalorian. You know, we would watch the episode on a Friday, talk about it the next day at the breakfast table, and she just decided to record us. And when she approached me and said, "You should do a podcast with Keith," and I said, "Well, I don't think people would be interested in having a podcast, you know, watching a podcast with a father and a son." And, you know, she said, "Well, isn't this what Star Wars is about, family?" And I said, "Well, that's a good point." And then she says, "And how many father and son podcasts are out there?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. And how many of them are out there that look like you?"
Exactly.
And I said, "You got me. I have no idea." And, you know, we've been doing this for a year, and outside of your podcast, I don't see anyone else who, you know, look like us, who have their children involved. But you have a very good point, because it is about family, and Star Wars is, you know, it's for children, but it's also for adults. So it's good to get an idea of how adults are looking at it. Could be the same scene, you know, we're looking at it one way, and then a child can look at that same scene and look at it
exactly.
totally different way.
Totally different perspective. Yeah.
Which I think makes it very interesting conversation to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes they go wild.
Yes, they do. You know, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's what makes it fun.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I am looking to find more people of color doing podcasts about Star Wars, because I think that's one of the things that I missed out on. You know, it either didn't exist when I was growing up, or I just didn't know where to find it. But, you know, what it sounds to me is that you were fortunate to have a circle of friends who you did have, you know, commonalities. You had the same interests. You were into the comic books and the geek culture and the film. Right. I didn't have that circle of friends. You know, I've been so it's unfortunate because most of my life, you know, my young adult life and early 30s, I had to keep that. Not that it's a secret, but I just really didn't have anybody to talk about Star Wars.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so no one knew how much I love Star Wars. You know, there wasn't anyone who was interested in hearing about me loving Star Wars. So I had to just keep that inside, you know, and I just had to adapt to, you know, wherever I was. For example, the high school I was telling you about, I couldn't follow sports at the time. I didn't follow sports, so I could not be a part of the conversation, you know. So I just, you know, ways to just, you know, like in the cafeteria, like there are two places that really bugged me when I was in high school: the cafeteria and gym class, because
exactly.
Cafeteria, that's all these guys would, you know, sit down at the table. That's all they talk about was the Jets and the Giants.
You know, one time when I was reading a comic book, I got hit with a basketball on purpose.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah.
There was this stigma about, you know, kids who, you know, didn't play sports. You know, they seem to be
weak. You see it in you know, in 80s movies all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a little bit of truth to that. And the other place was the gym class, because I was not great in sports, so I would avoid gym class as well. So what I did over, you know, the next 2 or 3 years in high school is just cut them out entirely. Like, you know, I would take out my lunch break, I would take out gym, and then try to schedule my classes early in the morning, and then leave early, and then get out of high school, get on a train, and go into Manhattan, and then be me, you know, be myself.
Right. Now, one thing I want to ask you, is your wife into Star Wars?
She is not into Star Wars as much as we are, but she's actually getting much better.
Okay.
She is picking up very quickly.
Okay. See, the same thing happened with my wife. She got into Star Wars through The Mandalorian. Yeah. I mean, that Baby Yoda.
That Baby Yoda. Yes, man.
From anybody's heart, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I Tanya have seen the prequel films. I think she might have seen the original trilogy, but again, it wasn't something that she went back to over and over and over. But she's a geek in her own way. She's really into cartoons, and it's pretty funny. When we met, we were actually we met in a speed dating event. And the first question that Tanya asked me was, are you into cartoons, or who's your favorite cartoon character? And I said, well, I was trying to think of, okay, what was the last animated cartoon or movie I saw? And I said The Incredibles. So this is back in like 2008.
Right.
And she says, The Incredibles? Come on, man. I'm talking about Underdog. I'm going way back. You know what I mean? So that's how we broke the ice, So, she's just as much of a geek as I am. It may not be Star Wars, but she has her own geek thing that that she's into.
You should put her on a show more often.
Who knows?
That's something you don't see. Yeah. You don't see women of color.
Yeah.
Yes, at all.
That's a very good point. Yeah,
I've seen any.
Yeah. I could recommend when we started up our podcast, and we were on Instagram, we were on Facebook, we were hesitant about Twitter, and then another father-son podcaster, you're aware of Todd Hoffman, Big T Little T.
Yeah,
he encouraged us to get on Twitter. He says there's a big Star Wars following on Twitter.
There is,
and we did, and it was amazing. We did find Sisters with Sabers. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but
no.
Yeah, Sisters with Sabers. So if you look up their information, they're fantastic. Maria, she goes by Blurred Girl Jedi. She loves Star Wars, and she is a very passionate Star Wars fan, and she has a lot to say. So I think you would really enjoy her podcast. So I do.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And but you're right. It's hard. I mean, you're starting to see it come out. I actually ran into a gentleman. We have not spoken directly as of yet, but he's into anime. And I don't follow anime. I don't know if you do, but I'm interested in
very little.
And speak with him and talking about anime, like what attracted him to anime. Was he loved by anime? Yeah. I
usually have a lot of fellow podcasters on my show. Almost every other week I try to have another podcaster on my show. In fact, my show has gotten so popular, we did a spin-off where we tackle the things that the kids cannot see.
Yes.
And now I've wrangled my wife into this show. So every other week I try to introduce her to something geeky and see what her opinion is. Now, because she didn't grow up in America, and she didn't experience she doesn't know anything about Star Wars. She doesn't know anything about Star Trek, or Marvel, DC, and stuff like that. So it's like culture shock when I show her these things. She loves it though, and it's an honest opinion. You don't see like that opinion from a person that finally experiences for the first time, it's especially an adult, So we did that show, and we're running with that now. It's been getting popular too, And
this is Geeky After Dark, is what it's called.
Yeah, the Geeky Dad After Dark.
Geeky Dad After Dark. I have not. I've been listening to your Geeky Dad podcast. I have not heard the After Dark podcast. I can't wait.
All adults.
Yeah, all adults. Understood.
Yeah,
understood. So that would be very interesting. Yeah, but but that's
very controversial opinion sometimes.
Sure. Yeah. I saw one headline about a certain director who we might have to mention. You don't have to mention his name, but it was a director you said he needs to really give it up. Give up directing. So that'll be my first episode I'll listen to.
We just try to have fun. I'm addicted to podcasting right now. I'm also guesting on a lot of different shows. I love doing it. It's very fun.
I'm with you. Again, we've been doing this for 14 months now, 15 months. This is all I want to talk about. This is all I want to do. I still have a full-time job, which, I got to still pay the bills, but I would love at some point if I could just make a living just doing,
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't, I need to really focus more on the YouTube page. I haven't done that as much. I did a couple of videos that really caught on, but I haven't really focused too much on the YouTube stuff. But my podcast has really been growing immensely. So I gotta try to balance the two. I don't know how you guys do it.
It's a family operation.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work, but we love doing it.
Yeah.
We do. And like I said, my goal is to do this podcast as long as I can, and to just have this be what I do. When I get up in the morning, I'm thinking about my content, putting together content, doing research, and talking, making contact, networking, talking to people, trying to book guests on the podcast. That would be my dream job.
Yeah. One of the reasons I don't do YouTube videos as much, the kids are very hard to wrangle. Okay.
Yes. Understood.
They're bouncing. Yeah. I don't know if you notice it if you listen to the show, but they are bouncing all over the place, and I'm trying to rein them in constantly. I don't think I can, I got to be like Michael Bay to shoot that episode if I have to have them on camera, because I have to go to 100 different angles just to catch them.
No, I understand completely.
Yeah.
Are you do you have siblings?
I do.
Okay. And how do they feel about you starting a podcast? Do they have any
very ambivalent? They don't really care.
Are they older siblings, younger?
No, they're younger.
They're younger. Okay. Yeah. So it's pretty funny. I the same with I have 3 older brothers and a younger sister. My younger sister does follow the podcast on Twitter, and she's very nice, and she's keeping up with what we're doing and our topics. But my brothers, I don't think they have a clue as to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's not for everybody. Podcasting is
not. My parents never listen.
My parents, I try to explain what a podcast is, but
they don't like radio where people talk anyhow. They just want to listen to music.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I want to see more of us on this platform, because our voices are important, as and that we need to be represented. And I in my opinion, I think Star Wars is going in the right direction. They're not quite there yet, but they're making an effort. So I'm very happy for that. And I think they're well aware that representation is very important and diversity is very important. So I'm looking forward to what they have, in store. There's a lot of content, as we talked about earlier. There's a lot going on. Is there anything you're looking forward to coming up in the future for Star Wars?
Well, I hope they can redeem my boy Finn.
How about that? Yeah,
they did him dirty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He was one of the first characters I actually latched onto in the Force Awakens, and then they did nothing with him at all. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I hope it's a lesson learned. But I think they are aware that things didn't turn out the way it should have, or as people expected. Right.
I was so excited, when I saw the trailer. Trailer for the Force Awakens, and
and he was holding the lightsaber too. I was like, wow.
Yeah. He's the first person that we see on the screen.
I know a lot of people were saying, "Is that Lando's kid?"
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So that was the rumor. Like, is he related to Lando? But no. Yeah.
Now, one theory I want to latch on to you right now. Okay, you saw the latest episode of Obi-Wan, and he mentions that he had a brother.
Yes.
I don't know. I can't think that's a throwaway line. I think, now that we know there's other Kenobis out there.
Yeah.
Maybe future franchises can sometime, maybe we'll see another Kenobi. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hear you, throwaway lines, they're not common, he brought it up for a reason, but I can't see how they would fit that in.
Not now, but I'm saying like for future, like a future story sometime. I think.
Future Kenobi.
Yeah, maybe a great grandkid of or something like that,
I did look at it as a throwaway line. I mean, even though, like you said, when you drop names like that, or you say something that we didn't know about a character, usually it's going to lead to something else. But I have a feeling that's just giving, Obi-Wan more depth, I guess, just to,
maybe
know a little
I
more.
mean, a lot of people were theorizing Rey was going to be a Kenobi at one point.
True.
I don't know how that was possible.
True.
But now maybe.
I'm looking forward to where this series is going to go. So I find myself, thinking now about when I was growing up in Brooklyn, going to Manhattan, going to the comic book stores and going to the movies. I'm doing that now. You know what I mean? So it just, what I'm doing now just takes me back to some very fun times I had of just going to the comic book store and geeking out and going to the movies. And now it's even better because I have more content and I'm enjoying it with my son.
Yeah. And, with the internet, you can just talk to anybody you want. Interest anytime you want.
That's true.
I'm just right here anytime you want.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best on your podcast. I really enjoy it. It's just so funny that we started our podcast at the same time.
I think you started a little bit before me, though.
Yeah. And we didn't know that either one existed.
No, I just recently found it.
Yeah. So it's wonderful. So I'm just hoping to meet more podcasters like us, whether they're family or single. I just want to represent it and to just talk Star Wars. So I can't wait.
Yeah. It's a lot to talk about. You never run out of stuff to talk about with Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really glad to get around to talking to you.
Thank you. It was fun talking to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Raphael. And hopefully we can bring our families together.
Yes. Maybe in the summertime because,
Yes.
work and school, they got to go to school. So, they got to go to sleep and all that stuff,
Sure. Yeah. I know it's going to be tough. It's like herding cats, as I was.
And every weekend I had something coming up, it was just,
Yeah. So we'll put something together. No hurry, no rush.
Right. Yeah. And if you're ever in Brooklyn, let's all meet up sometime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And where can people find you?
Well, you can find me wherever you listen to podcasts. I am on Amazon. I'm on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Everywhere that you can listen to podcasts, I'm there. And, I'm also on YouTube. I'm going to update my YouTube a little bit more. And, find me anywhere.
All right. Sounds good. Raphel Moran of the Geeky Dad podcast. Looking forward to more of your episodes and best of luck to you. And we will be in touch.
Thank you. We're going to be doing a lot more Star Wars content coming up on the show.
Sure. Thank you. And then you can find us also on your favorite streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, wherever you get your podcasts. We also have a YouTube channel. You can find us on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Father Son Galaxy. And we also have a website, fathersongalaxy.com. Raphael, thank you once again.
All right.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
You too.